But this brother, Gervonta Davis, Tank Davis, the time has come for the world to recognize this is one of the top 5 fighters on the planet.
Who do you want to see him fight next?
Shakur Stevenson, the fabulous boxer. The punch, I don't think he could take a punch from Gervonta Davis. I don't see it. Gervonta Davis might be the best in the world. He can punch. He's a knockout artist. He can box. He's not given enough credit for it, okay? He closes. He finishes. Once he smells blood, he's like a shark in blood-infested waters, Molly. He will finish you, okay? And by the way, he is an elite boxer.
Shakur Stevenson is catching major heat from Stephen A. Smith, and it all comes down to one thing: walking away from a finalized deal to fight Gervonta Davis. Smith didn't hold back, making it clear he believes Stevenson stands no real chance against Tank. In Smith's eyes, Davis is the far more dangerous and resilient fighter, someone who deserves way more respect than he's been getting.
For legitimate fight purposes, Gervonta Davis, to me, is the #1 attraction in boxing. He's the #1 attraction in boxing. He will finish you. He will close. And this brother comes, and he's one of those guys. They call him, the mini Mike, as a Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
He's willing to take a punch to give it now.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen him hurt. He got bruised.
Yep.
He might have bruises, but I ain't seen nobody wobble him. I ain't seen anybody.
Gervonta Davis is still taking shots at Shakur Stevenson, this time calling him a timid fighter with no real power behind his punches. According to Davis, Stevenson doesn't land anything significant and consistently fails to deliver the kind of non-stop action that fans actually pay to see. Tank believes Shakur's whole style falls flat when it comes to entertaining an audience, and that it's simply not the kind of boxing that grabs serious attention.
Have a lot to say these days. Shakur Stevenson, well, of course he's now 135 after all that stuff, and then Devin Haney.
Right, so why people even talk like he the best at, he didn't even fight at 135 yet.
Right.
He didn't even have power at 126, 126.30 or none of that.
He is good.
Okay. How can you, all that's just...
Rolly Romero has weighed in as well, arguing that Shakur Stevenson wouldn't stand a chance against Tank. He pointed out that Shakur has yet to beat any truly elite or high-caliber fighters, and his record simply lacks the kind of signature wins required to prove he can hang with someone like Davis. Romero also claimed that Tank currently holds the most impressive resume in the lightweight division.
Made in Tank at 135.
Loma
retired.
Yeah,
active.
Shakur before he moved on?
Shakur has a better resume.
At 130.
Who has Shakur beat?
But who's Tank really like? Other than that,
everyone Tank's beat became world champion. So tell me, that electrician dude was a good win at 35.
Electrician? What you on about?
Who he beat? Name me 3 Shakur opponents.
I think Shakur, bro. But when you look at Tank, all right. So tell me.
Oscar Valdez that had his jaw broken in 2018 that's been burnt out and off the juice for a while now.
So who's Tank's best win?
There's plenty of them.
Rolly Romero also touched on Gervonta Davis and the challenges he's been facing, noting that every person goes through rough patches, and outsiders never really know the full story. He voiced his support for Tank, saying he's hoping for a quick comeback so Davis can get back to doing what he does better than anyone else.
It's sad, but Gervonta Tank Davis can't stay out of trouble. I know he's been bailed out, but just your thoughts on the whole thing?
Just because his stuff went public, everyone done gone into some trouble, you know? Just, I mean, like I said, when you're the big fish, you know, all you gotta do is just keep to yourself, man, in reality. But like I said, at the end of it, we don't know what truly happened or any of that stuff. They could all say whatever, you know, there's 2 sides to every single story.
You think we'll see him return?
Yeah, well, I want to see Gervonta. Bro, he's one of the most entertaining fighters in boxing.
Is he still as good as, I mean, if you look at the resume, no win in 18 months, etc., is he still as good? Can he still hang?
He fought once in 18 months.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, dude,
I'm saying activity's important in this game.
Okay, well, I mean, he tried to fight, but I mean, things happen, you know?
Against Jake Paul, Rolly.
The what?
Against Jake Paul, though.
Yeah, but so what, man? So what, man?
So you part of the Tank fan club, that's fair.
What?
You're in the Tank fan club.
Bro, I like Tank, bro. Tank's a great fighter, bro. Dude, they all want to talk bad about Tank, but man, dude, then everyone Tank beat ended up becoming world champion.
Mike Tyson didn't hold back when sharing his take, naming Gervonta Davis as the single fighter capable of beating Shakur Stevenson. He went on to highlight Tank's fearsome knockout power, precise timing, and ability to close out a fight, skills that, in Tyson's view, would be more than enough to break through Shakur's slick defensive approach.
Great fighter. He is a great fighter. You know, especially when he's serious about it. You know, I don't know if he's as serious as he used to be. When he was serious, he was a hell of a fighter. Nobody came close. He's the only one I gave a chance against. Shakur and that guy, Keyshawn Davis, they're scary fighters too. They're sophisticated. The other guys are sophisticated and mean, but Tank is just a force of nature. You know, you just gotta give him the credit. You know, even though he's talking stuff, he's the man. Shakur and Tank, oh God, I don't even. Ooh, it's gonna be interesting because if Shakur handles this guy like he did Lopez, I was in hell with him. I was in hell with Shakur. If he just handles this guy like he did, I was in hell with him. Somebody gotta give him a fight though, but you gotta be very sophisticated to know how to fight. This is when I know you lost against Shakur. This is when I know you lost. You see when he does this stuff? Once you start doing this stuff and looking at him.
Tyson also described a potential face-off between Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis as a must-watch showdown. He pointed out that Stevenson doesn't necessarily need knockout strength to come out on top against Tank. He could secure the win by relying on superior technique, ring movement, and outscoring his opponent. On top of that, Tyson added that Davis is exactly the type of opponent who would push Shakur to compete at his very best.
Who will win out of Shakur and Gervonta?
Yeah. Gervonta Davis?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good fight. That's a good fight. I like to go with Tank because of the, everyone's going to go with Tank, but it would be a very interesting fight.
How could, for us that are not boxing analysts, how could Shakur beat him if he can't hurt him? That would be my question.
Listen, you don't have to hurt him, you just have to outscore him. Shakur takes a good shot though, He's a specialist. That's why some fights that he doesn't look good in, because he's so superior. And it's boring watching sometimes. But he's a specialist. He knows what he's doing. He's hard to beat.
So when the speed picks up and the aggression starts,
to bring out the best in Shakur, you gotta pressure him like Tank. Tank will bring out the best of him, and we'll see a great fight. Tank is just a monster.
Stephen A. Smith is now calling for Tank Davis to move up to the 140-pound division and take on more challenging opponents. He named Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, and Shakur Stevenson as the kinds of fighters Tank should be looking at. According to Smith, Davis has what it takes to dominate the junior welterweight division, and he should be chasing legacy-defining matchups against the very best in the sport.
I said that Tank is so much stronger than people realize, so much more powerful of a puncher than people realize. I want to see him up at the 140-pound limit. Don't make a Ryan Garcia come down to 135. Don't have the hydration clause in there.
Yeah.
Don't avoid, and he's not avoiding anybody. But I'd also like to see him against a Teofimo.
In my opinion, people seriously underestimate just how strong Tank really is. And his punching power is way beyond what most fans give him credit for. I'd love to see him compete at the 140-pound limit. Don't make Ryan Garcia drop all the way down to 135, and don't throw any hydration clauses into that fight. I'm not saying Tank is ducking anyone, but I definitely want to see him square off against Teofimo Lopez as well. Meanwhile, Eddie Hearn has a different take, calling Shakur Stevenson one of the most overlooked fighters in the sport today. Hearn argues that fans don't truly appreciate what Shakur brings to the table because he wins through defense, ring smarts, and technical precision, not knockout highlights. In Hearn's eyes, Shakur's command of pace, his timing, and his overall technical skill make him an incredibly tough puzzle to solve at the highest level of the sport.
Massively underrated in terms of his achievements and his ability. Everyone in boxing knows how good Shakur is. He is pound for pound, top 5 in terms of quality. But look at the achievements of the young man. At 28 years of age, he's already a 3-division world champion. This is to become a 4-division world.
Roy Jones Jr. had nothing but praise for Shakur Stevenson, calling him possibly the best fighter in the entire 135 to 140-pound range. He highlighted Shakur's exceptional footwork, rock-solid defense, and high-level technique, explaining that those qualities make him incredibly difficult to beat. Jones added that any fighter who doesn't truly grasp ring movement and fight IQ is going to have serious problems against Stevenson. People don't understand, Roy said, implying that most fans and opponents alike fail to recognize just how dangerous Shakur's style really is when you break it down technically.
Understand, defense isn't with your hands, it's with your feet. And he has the best foot defense of the game. So if he uses it for defense, when it's strictly defense, yes. But when you want to make it offensive, you can't do the same. You got to cut it in half. And that's the only thing he had a problem with. Once he learns that or figures that out, he gonna be a killer.
Would the skill he has now make him the best out of them four?
Right now, no. Because some people gonna say, boy, and the reason the rest of them don't want to fight him is because they know he know that back foot game so well that he's not going to engage until he wants to engage. And that's a good thing too. But for the fans and to be
not right now,
the ratings, you got to be able to engage when they need you to engage. You can't, then you're gonna become bored. So he's not bored unless you don't understand boxing.
Right.
You understand?
As global tensions continue to rise and the boxing world shifts its priorities, Turki Al-Sheikh appears to be doubling down on major, high-profile events, particularly those showcasing British stars like Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. This change in strategy could have serious implications for fighters such as Shakur Stevenson, who may no longer have the luxury of taking multiple tune-up bouts before being thrown into elite-level competition.
Getting paid by Turki Al-Sheikh and the Saudis, and then he switched over to Paramount Plus, right? And acted like he was going to do both at the same time. Well, with the war in Iran, he can't do either. So that means both of them are up in the air. Now, what does that mean for real fighters? It's okay for real fighters. It's going to work out for just fine for Shakur Stevenson. It's going to work out just fine for guys like Devin Haney, and provided Devin doesn't go over to the Zuffa. It's going to turn out fine for those guys, as long as they can actually win the fights that they get.
So instead, these fighters will likely get thrown straight into tougher matchups, where they'll have to prove themselves immediately. Back in earlier eras, stars like Floyd Mayweather and Terrence Crawford built their way up to big fights over a longer stretch of bouts. But that kind of gradual approach may not be realistic anymore.
Going to have to actually fight these tough fights, and they're not going to be able to have 5-6 setup fights before you get to it, because that's the game that I believe Shakur was playing, because that's the game that Floyd Mayweather played. That's the game that Terrence Crawford played, where they would take 3, 4, 5 fights before the actual big fight that people are talking about took place. That's what happened with Floyd and Manny Pacquiao. That happened with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. Some people, it was both Errol and Terrence that did it. No, whatever. Still, if both guys did it, then both guys took several fights before that took place, right? Big fights with money, good money in them. So Shakur now can't do that. Cannot do that. Number one, Matchroom Boxing, who's really running DAZN, let's be honest. Matchroom Boxing, which runs DAZN, because Matchroom actually is owned. Matchroom USA is actually owned in part by DAZN and by Sella, who is the Turkey people. They're going to be putting their resources and their efforts into British fighters. The Tyson Fury fight that they want to make with Anthony Joshua, if they can find some way to get that done. That's what they're going to be looking for. They're not going to be looking at the fighters that they had on undercards. It's just that simple. Shakur Stevenson was fighting on undercards for these guys. Devin Haney is fighting on undercards for these guys. Right? Keyshawn Davis fighting on undercards for these guys. Pretty much everybody that was at Top Rank fighting on undercards for these guys. They're not going to prioritize the undercard fighters.
Now, if Shakur wants the biggest fights and paydays, he'll need to accept them earlier and at more reasonable terms without prolonged buildup.
So at the end of the day, the money is there for Shakur. But the money's going to be with Shakur. He's going to have to tuck his pride. James Prince is going to have to tuck his pride and go over there to the PBC, call Steven Espinoza if Al's not there anymore, and get this fight made. you know, and Shakur is somebody that could win the fight. The thing is that that is going to be prohibited is that they're not going to allow Shakur to make 4 and 5, 6 different fights and get $1 million, $5 million each, run up $30 million, and then at the end, let's go for the big one. If you're going to get the big one, you're going to get the big one at a price that is a reasonable price, and then if you can win the fight, after that you become the big dog, right? Because you're the ones with the fans. The reason that Gervonta is the fan right now is because he's got the fan. Is the man right now is because he.
So if Shakur really wants those career-defining matchups and the biggest paychecks that come with them, he'll have to jump on those chances sooner rather than later, and under more practical conditions, without the luxury of an extended runway.
Fighters, they go back and forth on Twitter, and they be like, let's fight. You gotta put the business in between that, because fighters will be fighting all the time just because they arguing back and forth. But the business gotta make sense. So it's always about the bag. So that's why I feel like Turk Al-Sheikh come in, because he'll say, hey, here go the money, get these fights to happen. That's why I can't believe that Bud have to move up 2 weight classes to fight Canelo, and David Benavidez was right there at 168 comfortably. That's why the business of boxing took over. But I respect Shakur for actually saying he want to fight. Where is he at in the 6 fight deal? And where is he at in the 6 fight deal? Is his 3rd fight or something like that with Tank?
It's a good question.
It's early. It might be 2 or 3 fights in.
You sure?
A lot of experts believe the reason this fight still hasn't happened comes down to budget and the overall financial setup behind major boxing events. Big-time matchups only get locked in when the revenue split and promotional terms work for everyone involved. Promoters, networks, and the fighters themselves all need to agree on a deal that guarantees solid money across the board. That's why financial arrangements end up being the single biggest factor in putting together blockbuster fights. If the money side doesn't satisfy both camps, the bout simply won't move forward, no matter how much fan demand or hype is surrounding the fighters.
At the end of the day, you and Tank is a fight that should happen. It absolutely should happen. You know, and I believe it will. I mean, you guys are both in charge of your career. I think it's a good style matchup. Like you said, the networks are out of the way. The promoters are out of the way. You know, he's flexible, you're flexible. I don't see why it wouldn't happen.
It's the best versus the best.
Absolutely right.
Let's make the best fight in boxing.
And when you guys meet, how does that fight play out?
I ain't gonna give you no game.
You think I'm gonna jump on the phone with Tank right after?
No, I would tell you this. I'm gonna come out victorious.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I stand by.
Okay. That's what you gotta say. You're supposed to say that.
No,
right?
It ain't what I'm supposed to say. It's what I know.
Shakur Stevenson says he has zero doubt that he'll come out on top in this matchup, calling it a true elite-level showdown between 2 of the very best in the sport. According to him, when 2 top-tier athletes step into the ring, the real goal is simple: to determine who has the superior skill, sharper timing, and better ring IQ. Stevenson made it clear he's fully embracing the challenge and views this as a defining moment in his career, one where high-level ability has to be measured against high-level opposition. He also pointed out that having both fighters on the biggest stage is exactly what makes this clash so exciting for fans. And as far as he's concerned, he's ready to go out there and prove why he truly belongs among boxing's elite.
Shakur Stevenson, I'm going to say it here on the front page, and Tank, I love you, brother, and still would love to talk to you.
100.
But when you get in there with Shakur, it's going to remind me of Deontay Wilder fighting Tyson Fury.
Ooh.
Because what you going to do when you come across a motherfucker you can't knock out? Only thing you going to do is just get more frustrated.
That's a terrible analogy.
I'm just saying.
Only reason why I'm saying it's a terrible analogy is because Tank Davis. Remember, you've heard Coach Cal say this all the time. He says the same thing, and I know exactly what he means. We just waiting on somebody to pull it out of him. You ever hear him say that?
Yeah, yeah.
We got so much. It's just we ain't been able to show it because ain't nobody been able to pull it out of him. We looking forward to the big fights. We looking forward to the big matchups because those are the kind of people that's going to pull it out of him. So with a fight with Shakur, you're going to see this boxing style that you don't usually get.
Sean Porter believes that even though Gervonta Davis has serious one-punch knockout ability, relying on raw power alone won't be enough to get past Shakur Stevenson. He compared the matchup to Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, making a point that elite-level skill, strong defense, and control of a ring can completely neutralize pure punching force. In Porter's view, Stevenson's footwork, precision timing, and in-ring intelligence make him extremely difficult to hit cleanly, which forces opponents to think their way through the fight instead of just looking for a brawl. He acknowledged that Tank's explosive power is always a threat, but Shakur's technical toolbox could allow him to set the pace, pile up rounds, and wear down aggressive punchers over the full 12. Porter added that in matchups like this, discipline and a solid game plan matter way more than landing a single big shot. And that's exactly why Stevenson has a real shot at outboxing even the most dangerous hitters in the sport.
In boxing, I guess you could say, because like the history and like everything that like went on, it's hard to even speak on it just because of the fact that we gotta fight. So at the end of the day,
you feel that's gonna happen?
Yeah, I know it's gonna happen. I mean, I'm the best, he the best. So when you got two guys that's the best, how can you not fight? Only way you could not fight if one of them guys ain't like that and somebody go off to lose or somebody take an L. But I think like with both of us, we both fighters that's really good fighters and on that level.
From a boxing standpoint, what makes Tank Tank? We see the power, but it's gotta be more than that.
Nah, he's strategic. He's setting guys up. He been boxing since a little kid, just like I've been boxing since a little kid. And you can tell like with the experience. Even with his last fight with Frank Martin, you can see Frank Martin was more so an amateur. Like the experience he got is not on the level of like Tank. And he just took off with experience. He let him waste his energy, gassed him out, and then round 8, okay, it's time to go home.
When would you like to see that fight happen?
Whenever. I think that I'm ready for it, he ready for it, we both in our primes. It could happen next, it could happen next year.
Shakur Stevenson recently said that a potential fight between him and Gervonta Davis is actually bigger than boxing itself, given all the history, the growing rivalry, and the intense build-up surrounding it. He explained that it's almost hard to even talk about at this point because the matchup is already expected to happen. Shakur believes it's inevitable, pointing out that both guys are elite talents in the same division who are naturally going to cross paths inside the ring. In his opinion, the only way a fight like this doesn't come together is if one of the fighters isn't truly at that top level or suffers some kind of setback. He also broke down Tank's skills, acknowledging his knockout power, but making it clear that Davis is far from just a brawler. Stevenson described him as tactical, experienced, and patient, someone with a style that gradually wears opponents down as the fight goes on.
Can you understand why the public is just like, bruh, fight somebody else, fight somebody quote unquote better, just from the public standpoint? Can you understand that?
Yeah, I certainly get it. You know, and people have a short memory. They tend to forget that, you know, he was very close to fighting Lomachenko, and then Lomachenko pulled out. And there were discussions with Shakur. Shakur wanted a multi-fight deal. He didn't want to do sort of a one-fight deal to fight Tank. So, you know, that doesn't happen. Now, we could revisit Shakur.
So after hearing all these different takes, from Stephen A. Smith and Mike Tyson to Roy Jones Jr., Sean Porter, and Eddie Hearn, what do you actually think about the Shakur Stevenson versus Gervonta Davis situation? Why hasn't this fight happened yet? Is it the money, the promotional politics, the styles, or is one side truly avoiding the other? Drop your honest opinion in the comments section below. Let's get the conversation going. And as always, thanks for watching.